This one with B-Rob going to the 49ers, where does that put JCM's ranking and auction cost here? That is from Irish on YouTube.
I don't think it should change anything because the team was already acting. Dan Quinn's already talking about him, though he doesn't exist.
He wasn't playing another snap for them, and it wasn't even a secret.
Yeah, exactly. So I don't think it changes much. Obviously, JCM's ADP has soared up 45 spots recently. I think that it's largely being baked in at this point that Brian Robinson wasn't going to be there.
But to the point here from Fantasy Bandit, he said, I think the Croskey-Merritt hype has gotten completely out of control. I just did a draft that he went in the 7th round. I agree. I think JCM is probably a really nice dynasty asset right now. Tyler Olson in YouTube asked, how aggressive is too aggressive on Croskey-Merritt in dynasty? I mean, listen, if you get him for what you think will be a late 2nd round pick, I don't think that's nuts because I think this will be his backfield by next year. But I also think if you're taking him in redraft for this year in the 7th round, I mean, you're going to have to be a little patient once again. Like Dan Quinn they're showing you their hand with Chris Rodriguez Jr. They have the veteran in Austin Eckler there. This is a team last year, plenty of times they leaned on veterans in those situations. So I'm a big believer in Bill Kroskey's talent. And I think that talent ultimately just shines through. But I think you also need to be careful in redraft because that's a big asset to spend where I don't know if he'll give you anything in September. I really don't.
Yeah. I was in a draft this morning where he was going ahead of guys like Ramondre Stevenson and Travis Etienne, who are very
Starters.
kind of known commodities, boring players to draft, but also I think are probably going to outperform JCM just because they're starters at the moment, and JCM's role is a bit more clouded in uncertainty. Well, it's not really uncertainty. I think we just know that he's not going to get workhorse usage.
Yeah. All right. Let's get to some. We have Matthew. A little action here. There he is, the pride of NBC Sports today. Hello, Matthew.
What's up, boys? Yeah.
Have you enjoyed the show?
Some technical difficulties, but happy to finally join you. I've been watching from afar. Connor, you've done better than Jay, just so you know.
Thanks, Matthew. That's why we're a team.
Is it because of the mustache?
Right. I got you a little bit, Evil Jay. But absolutely, you need to keep growing out the facial hair. I think you guys are spot on right about that. Like no one, like I feel like it's this weird thing where we were like literally the first show on Jacory Croskey-Merritt on Bill, literally because Connor, your pre-draft rankings before the NFL draft of having JCM, who a lot of people hadn't even heard of, having him ranked ahead of RJ Harvey in your pre-draft ranking sort of opened the eyes of a lot of people, and so we talked about him. And then he lands in Washington. But weirdly, as being sort of the first show on JCM, I feel like while we're all high on the talent, and I agree with you, this is going to be his backfield sooner rather than later. I almost feel like the hype's gotten too out of control because, to your point, it's going to be a 3-headed committee initially. Like Chris Rodriguez, who knows the offense. He's been there. I think JCM's talent is significantly more than Chris Rodriguez, but they like him, and he's not going to just immediately go away. So if you're drafting JCM in the 5th round, and I've seen him go in the 5th round, what's happening here is that he has to hit his peak to earn that value. And so it's weird. I almost I actually have a lot of shares of JCM from dynasty leagues that I drafted early, but now the hype's getting so out of control that I'm seeing him go around the same as you mentioned Stevenson and Etienne. I've seen him go in the James Conner, Ken Walker range. Look, we love Bill Kroskey-Merritt, but curb your enthusiasm, as the wise man once said. I don't think this is my take real quickly on Brian Robinson is it's good that we know sort of where he is, but this kills his fantasy value as long as Christian McCaffrey is healthy. He's not going to get any kind of significant snaps. I do think Connor and Jay, you guys tell me if you disagree with this, but I do think that if you're drafting an insurance back for Christian McCaffrey, you prefer Brian Robinson to Isaac Guerrero or Jordan James, who, Connor, you and I have already talked about. We sort of like Jordan James. He felt like more of a Kyle Shanahan type running back, and now he gets a veteran in Brian Robinson.
Yeah, and the backup running backs have been banged up this summer, and Kyle Shanahan needs reliability right now. So the fact, Matthew, that they made the move, even at the cost of a 6th-round pick, for a proven veteran in Brian Robinson, to me, at least for 2025, it writes off both Guerrero and Jordan James. Like, they will be on the waiver wires, and they'll be like that unless there's multiple injuries to this backfield.
Yeah, definitely. I suspect what would probably happen if McCaffrey does go down, which is the only way any of these guys are going to get relevant, is that Brian Robinson's probably the primary early down guy, and then the pass game work goes to Guerrero or James or something. Like, I don't think that anyone is going to become a workhorse back and fulfill the McCaffrey role. Just going back to JCM for a second, the way that I see this Washington backfield now, see it very much like the 2023 Ravens, where it's like Gus Edwards and Keaton Mitchell and Justice Hill, and there's no singular guys, just three guys who are all very efficient because they're playing with Lamar Jackson, and he's such a cheat code. I think it's going to be similar for the Commanders, just where these guys are all going to produce in their limited work, but the work's going to be too limited to provide immense fantasy value.
Matthew, here's one for you. At what point is Austin Eckler just totally overlooked in all of this, to the point where, I mean, just on Fantasy Life ADP right now, Eckler is in a range that is no man's land. I mean, we're talking about he's being drafted around guys like he is like pick 130 in redraft right now, and everybody's talking about Bill, who we love, but Eckler still has a massive role in this offense.
Massive role and a defined role. Like, he is going to be the third down back. He's going to be the passing down back. They like to use him, put him in motion and everything like that. And Cliff Kingsbury's going to get creative, and he's going to get creative not just with Eckler, but Deebo Samuel in the backfield as well. So I agree with you, especially if you've lowered expectations. If you're like, look, I'm in a 12-team PPR league where I need like a flex guy here. Like, I think he's 10 to 12 points a game. I think he's right there in that range. I think he's going to catch 3 to 4 balls. He's going to have a shot at, like, I would think on a, you're projecting, 3 to 4 catches a game, possibly, somewhere in the 40 to 60 yards a game range, and then, a potential shot at a touchdown. And maybe he gets you 15, 20 yards rushing as well. So I agree with you. There's just upside there with Eckler, who we've seen be an elite fantasy option fairly recently. And when he got in there last year, he was effective. Health is a question, of course, with Eckler, but I agree with you. I think there's value to be had with Eckler, especially if he's going in like the 12, 13 round. He is one of those guys that just everyone's just kind of left for dead, which is insane.
Yeah, for perspective right now, Eckler typically going around pick 130 in redrafts. The running backs that are in that similar range are Nick Chubb is ahead of him, Bashaw Tutin, Kareem Hunt. He's in the, almost Blake Corum, Jaden Blue kind of range right now. And like you said, Matthew, a viable fantasy asset, especially if you were looking for somebody to help you out in the flex. By the way, the ton of comments rolling in right now. We have one here from
Planetarium Pictures.
Planetarium Pictures. Nice, Jay. Has there been a bigger shakeup before fantasy draft weekend ever? It looks like CMC stock down, Eckler stock up, Jacory stock up. I'm not as high on CMC as you guys, and I don't agree with this. I don't think this does anything to his stock.
Yeah, I don't think it changes anything about Christian McCaffrey. I think this is much more about Isaac Guerrero and Jordan James and these guys, and the fact that those guys don't represent great options if McCaffrey does go down, and they've been banged up in the preseason. And I think, look, you can plan for a Christian McCaffrey injury without anticipating that it's definitely going to happen, right? There is just a heightened injury risk with Christian McCaffrey, and I think the Niners, this move reflects that, but I don't think it changes anything so long as he's healthy.
And really nice.
Yeah,
go ahead, Matthew.
I agree with that, Jay. This move is about depth for the 49ers running back room. And just to answer the question in terms of bigger shakeup, the only thing that immediately came to mind was just sort of Isaiah Pacheco coming out of nowhere for the Chiefs. He was, again, similar to JCM, 7th round pick. In this particular case, Pacheco coming out of Rutgers, wasn't highly thought of and just had an amazing camp. And then just all of a sudden it was just like, oh, he's going to be the guy. I think about Kareem Hunt's rookie year, where it's the same thing in Kansas City, where people were really excited to him, but he was going to be in a timeshare with Spencer Ware, if you guys remember Spencer Ware. And then midway through the preseason, Spencer Ware suffers a tough injury and is out for the year. And Kareem Hunt, who is like this kind of upside rookie that you might want to draft late in drafts, or on the bottom part of a committee, all of a sudden now is the lead running back of the Kansas City Chiefs. And so those are the first ones that came to mind. I don't know about you guys, but just to answer Planetarium Pictures question.
My favorite one is when Matt LaFleur came out 2 years ago and said that rookie Romeo Doubs has some Devontae Adams in him.
Hey, it's Matthew Berry from NBCSports.com and RotorWorld.com, and I want to thank you so much for watching whatever it is you just watched, or if nothing else, being too lazy to click out of the autoplay after this video started, after whatever it is you actually wanted to watch finished. But now that you're here, I'd like to take a moment here to ask you respectfully now, okay? I'm asking you respectfully to subscribe to the NFL on NBC YouTube channel. You'll get the latest RotoWorld fantasy news headlines, all sorts of great shows, including my own Fantasy Football Happy Hour. So go subscribe now. Again, I'm asking respectfully.